Behind me is a completely reimagined E31 8 Series built by Reyn Speed Shop, and I'm here with Rey Rivera, long-term friend. This is a car that basically, I think you purchased 12 years ago, you said.
Right, exactly.
And what did you want to create with this car, Rey?
Well, you know, I thought about doing something special, and we do a lot of different builds in the shop, and we're always trying to elevate the game, right, and make it a little more difficult, create a little hill to climb. So what we decided to do on this was try to create an OEM modernized E31.
With everything that maybe BMW would have done if they started making an M, which we never got. We never got an M8.
Right.
Basically from BMW.
Exactly, yeah, they created that one M8 with the dual overhead cam motor, which never existed except for that motor. And I thought, well, why don't I create my own M8? So I got Carbon to build a great motor for the car. We basically transformed the car from all the E31 old classic stuff to more modernized BMW E60
sort of
componentry.
Platform.
Right.
So everything underneath the car that you can't see right here is actually from an E60 M5. That was the donor car for this.
Exactly.
In chassis, in suspension, exhaust, pretty much everything is moved over. Car has functional DSC, has functional ABS from the E60. It pretty much is an M6 or M5 from that era, from the E60 era.
Exactly, that was the goal. The goal was that, hey, I could plug into diagnostic port, know what's going on with the car, use all that programming, all that knowledge that BMW developed over all those years in 2000 up to 2006, and integrate it into this car.
So the look of the car, every panel is carbon fiber.
Right, yeah, it's interesting. We wanted to lighten the car because they were heavy back in the day. I mean, I think stock this car was like 4,389 pounds, and now it's like 3,700 pounds.
So 700 weight loss.
Almost, right, exactly.
All the cuts and everything.
So basically, like, you introduced me to John Seibel, and John said, Rey, what do you want to do with this 8 Series? I go, well, you know, I want to do something special. It's a special car, so let's take all some design elements from historical BMW M Sport and see what we can do with that, like box flares from an E30 M3 or E46 front
CSL.
M3 CSL front valance and things like that, and integrate BMW design into the car. And he came up with this design, which was fantastic.
You know, a lot of people don't know that the 8 Series really does have kind of a box flare already. It's just super subtle.
Exactly.
And he's just taken it and widened it out. So it really doesn't look like a wide body add-on.
Right.
It looks like the OEM version of kind of what the 850 was.
Yeah, we're trying to modernize the car. And it's got classic lines to begin with anyway, so.
Let's just do a quick walk around, Rey, and we'll show those really fine details that you and John came up with on the design.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So tell me about the bumper. So I see the circle intakes, and that's really from E46 CSL bumper design.
Right. Yeah, so the big opening at the bottom, kind of the shape of it, and the big circle holes, the big induction intakes are like E46 CSL.
Yeah, and it kind of like is E39 kind of ish,
yeah,
and
exactly.
E46, and it's really, you know, this is an E31, so this is a 92. So everything from 92 to E60, all of those designs are in this one exterior, which is super cool. And then one of the things a lot of people will know is these have pop-up headlights. E31s have pop-up headlights. It's one of the few BMWs that has that, but this doesn't. So tell me about the hood and that design with the...
So we thought, well, we know that these E31s tended to run hot in the engine bay. So we integrated this heat ducting that when you're going at speed, it'll actually extract air through that ducting. It's functional. You know, it is a functional design.
And you guys eliminated the whole headlight and bucket that's there, that's normally in those positions, but then kept the element where the square or whatever from the hood.
Yeah, so that design element's still kind of there, but it's in a different form. We created headlight buckets for the car with the beam headlights and LED turn signal.
And brought those down into kind of the bumper, kind of very front of the car.
Right.
So moving to the front, I can really see the box flare really accentuated out. And then the one thing I'll notice that we were talking about earlier is the actual flare body line continues into the door. And what you guys will notice on a regular E31, these are flat doors. So that element with the fender and everything really has that detail you don't really notice. It makes the look.
A lot of times you'll see cars that are box flared, that fender will die at the door.
It just stops.
Yeah, they have to try to get it there quickly, right? Yeah. So the door cannot be touched at all or modified. But in this situation, we actually took the door skins and made carbon fiber door skins on the car. So we removed the steel and replaced with carbon fiber, and we're able to add that element into that whole structure and in that design.
It's all about the details. I mean, with a car like this, the details are what matter and what really makes it stand out from another. And then a lot of people are going to notice the mirrors, and they're going to really notice them from E46 M3, but also the 850 CSI.
Exactly. So
that mirror.
So E46 M3 had the same design mirror
Style,
but
yeah.
those don't fit on this car. These are actually 850 CSI side view mirrors.
Yeah, which is a really cool correct period for the car.
Right.
But you didn't see anything like that until later E36. So
Right.
5 years later after this car, they brought that into production.
Exactly.
So,
That's
super
exactly
cool.
right.
So let's move down to the back. And the back fender is where you really see the really wide body.
Right.
And so how much width was added to the car? Do you know?
The back of the car is overall 8 inches wider. I like to say it's subtle, but when you look at it, it really is wider.
Yeah, and the color, I mean, the color, especially in the sun, you can really see the metallics. What's the color of the car?
The color is BMW silver gray metallic.
Okay, and that was one of the original E46 M3.
E46 CSL color, yeah.
And one thing that we were pointing out earlier is this is actually the original shape gas door from
That's
the
right.
E31. It looks like it 100% belongs, even with the wide body, the different style.
It's a trick, right? It's very careful to add that much width and keep that body line in a position to where we don't touch that door. You know, that's factory.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's how that's a factory part of the car.
So anytime you have a wide body car like this, you have to have a custom set of wheels. So tell me about these wheels, Ray, the design, what went into them?
We build the car and then we have these offsets we have to deal with. But at the end of the day, we want a custom car. We got some custom wheels. And, I'm a BMW nut, an Alpina fan, so these are like harken back to the early Alpina Daisy wheel with the rounded spoke openings in between. It's an 18 spoke wheel instead of 20. We didn't want to totally be plagiarizing, right? And then the scalloping at the top of the spokes is reminiscent of the modern Alpina wheel, along with the drop face with the holes the way they're drilled is very reminiscent of the current Alpina wheel. And then that whole drop center on the wheel is what we kind of wanted to follow with the E60 M5 factory wheel. So we kind of had all those elements put in there for that. We did them ourselves, yeah.
This is a wheel that if you know the history of Alpina's wheels,
right,
you would immediately recognize this wheel, but a lot of people don't, and it's just one of those cool details that makes the car a Reyn Speed Shop car.
Exactly, that's right.
Behind the wheel, we have some pretty special Brembos. So tell me about the Brembos.
Well, you want to go faster, you got to stop faster.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So that's what that's all about. I mean, the stock E60 front brakes are monster, right? But the rear brakes they're very small. I think they're single piston in the rear.
They are.
What Brembo's done is they've got a monster 6 piston in the front and they've got a monster 4 piston in the back, so definitely more stopping capacity. And with this carbon ceramic, there's no need for brake cooling or anything like that.
So this is a Restomod. Ray wanted to do the best of the best from a rotor perspective, and yeah, these are actually carbon ceramic from Brembo. You will never see these. And the cool thing is that these are the GTS caliper with the old Brembo logo, which a lot of people know is my favorite caliper that Brembo sells. And it's just another really nice detail to really elevate the car.
That logo's a more period as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I guess we can move on into the back. We'll talk about the diffuser and everything else.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think the first thing everyone's going to notice is the clear lights. Tell me a little bit about the lights, Ray.
So one thing you'll notice is that the car is wider and it does taper off to the back of the car, but it's still 40 millimeters wider in each end of the car, into that fender. In order for this to look seamless, we had to create taillight buckets that the lens is finished at that point.
Basically, the stock taillights are not going to work because of the widened body.
Yeah,
some of the differences.
You'll see a big body panel.
It'll just
there.
end. It'll just stick out the body.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. So it looks much more purposeful this way. And then we're able to upgrade the lighting system to all LED, which is really beneficial. And you can do that with the E60 as well.
And super bright. And I mean, the reason this car was built is it's built to drive. This is not a show queen car, even though we're here at Legends of the Autobahn showing the car. And with upgraded lights, that's super safe. It brings the car up to snuff, basically.
That's exactly right.
Tell me about the center here and why you chose the black.
Well, okay, black is factory. This is a factory piece. We didn't have to modify that at all. The way we designed the car, the trunk is all carbon fiber, and it still maintains that element because we didn't see a lot of value in trying to change that.
And I think it really breaks up the back with the color. And I think from now you guys can see, again, a CSL design with the ducktail, with the duckbill.
Yeah, we want the integrated duckbill spoiler on the trunk.
Even to the fender.
That's right.
It comes
all the way out. That's right.
Yeah,
There's added material there.
And then, of course, the diffuser, which is carbon, and then the quad exhaust, which was kind of a new thing for the M5s with the E60s and E39s, really.
It's really interesting. The way we executed that was we knew for it to be proportional, we determined we needed 4-inch tips, So we modified the whole M5 stainless exhaust to accommodate those tips and to make it all work with the car.
Yeah, and this is a smog car. You can smog the car and it passes. It has all the factory cats. It has all the factory O2 emissions pumps bumps and everything, because again, this is a car meant to drive.
Right, exactly. We wanted to try to reach that OEM level of execution, you know.
So now we're going to transition to the interior, which is really a mix of E60 and E31 with amazing black leather. So let's take a look at that. So Rey's sitting in the driver's seat, and I can see so many elements from the E60, but I also see elements from the 850. So tell me how you guys had the culmination of both inside this interior.
So there's one reason why we want to build a classic car, because we want to make sure it still feels like a classic car where we're in it. So a big point of how I like my cars built is I like to have that period interior because I like the car. It's a great design. So we maintained all the interior elements of an 8 Series, and we integrated the E60 componentry into it that we needed to, like the gauge cluster, the power DSC EDC button. You know, we changed the entire drivetrain, so the E60 rack and steering column is in with all those attributes, and it just fits in. You know, it's all BMW styling. And then also we put the climate control in and the CIC infotainment system. So we've got all those things integrated into the car. But you know, when I'm sitting in the car, I still feel like I'm in an 8 Series.
Yeah, and everything's functional. I mean, the iDrive works because you need to see the service functions with the vehicle. It's really cool. I mean, the integration, especially because the gauges are so iconic with the E60, but the dash of the 8 Series is so iconic because it's really kind of like an E21. It faces the driver. It's a really cool coupe. And again, this is kind of a seamless window coupe like an E9, and the interior makes a difference. And then also the seat. These look like Vaders.
Staying with the period, I love the Vader seats, so I decided I'm going to put Vaders in here, and I wanted to lighten the car, so the Vader manuals are light. They're pretty lightweight. They're 45 pounds and much lighter than what we're in here. It's like half the weight of the seats that came with the car. And then we integrated the seat belts from the rear retractors to the front. Obviously, no one's going to be sitting in the back in this GT car. It just works.
Tell me about like the headliner. Is this Alcantara?
We did all this Alcantara headliner. I wanted to go with that.
Which is also period because E39 M5s had that anthracite.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then
we integrated the E60 console and the sunroof.
Yeah, all the controls and everything. Right. Even the looks like the rearview mirror is also E60.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah, with the garage door opener integrated and everything. And then tell me about the leather, like the black leather. You wanted to do a black with the silver?
So that's the whole thing. You know, we wanted to keep it as a GT car. There's got to be some luxury about it. So we leather wrapped everything in the interior.
Yeah, dash and everything.
All the door cards and the dash. The guy did a great job. Yeah.
We kind of saved the best for last because everyone wants to know, you know, what engine is in it. So let's go over to the front. We'll open up the hood and talk about that motor.
Great, awesome.
Previously we mentioned that this is a culmination of an E60 and an E31. And what would it be without the E60 M5 V10 motor? But this is not a stock motor. What engine is this, and what was done to the motor before you guys put it in? So
yeah, we contacted Carbon, Steve Dinan, and they built a 5.8 liter V10 for us, 630 horsepower, 490 foot-pounds of torque. We were able to put it in the engine bay. It fits in there just nicely. And put it in the position where if you need a hose, everything is in the factory position, and if you need a part for the car, it's right off the parts manual.
Yeah, so it's totally serviceable. So if you're on your drive up to Monterey and you're on the drive and you need to go to the dealer and get a hose, and you need to get something like a bracket, you can buy it off the part shelf.
That's exactly right.
And then this is it's a stroker motor. This is the largest stroker motor that they make, the 5.8 liter. Really is amazing. And then talk about the carbon fiber intake and some of the stuff that you guys did also.
Right, so we wanted to upgrade that a little bit. So we got this eVenturi intake setup, which we really liked. We looked at a number of different, but we like this one the best. When I build the car, I don't want it to be so loud, but I do want to hear the motor. Sure. So that's what this is all about, and the carbon fiber helps with that.
Yeah, you really get the intake noise.
Right, and then obviously the motor is further back in the chassis than on an M5. You know, we did all this ducting and everything to make sure the cool air is flowing through.
Yeah, and this is the OEM nose panel from an E60 right here.
That's
it's just
exactly
kind of
right.
modified, and it looks exactly the way it would be, you know, on the M5.
Right.
And even this, I mean, even the charging point and everything is from the car. Because, I mean, to build a car like this, you have to have two running and driving cars. But the M5 that you bought wasn't a wrecked car.
Right. No.
It was a car that ran and drove, so we could verify all the modules, we could verify all the stuff. And that's what makes a car like this be able to be done.
That's right, yeah. It took two running cars to make one really nice car, and I even own another V10 M5. So.
Yeah, because you love the car so much.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to go from a stock 850 to now this?
Right. It's about 4 years and a lot of man hours. I mean, we really worked hard on the car. Everything from, you know, determining what we were going to do to execution and beginning to build and kind of completing the whole project, to making the body. Our vendor that created the body kit did a fantastic job. We own the molds, you know, so if I need a fender for the car, I can order one. You know, whatever we need for the car is like almost like a parts man. Some of the parts are our parts, but we know what they are. They're identifiable, and it's not an issue when it comes to the body. And when it comes to all the other functionality of the car, it's all BMW.
Yeah, and it's a serviceable, even the body's serviceable, because you have the original molds to make the carbon pieces, to make a body panel. John told me that this is one of the most well-executed designs. John does digital design. So he basically made a design for Rey.
Right.
And normally people run into issues making a kit, making the way that John designed it, be able to execute it on the car. It's very difficult. You run into so many issues with design and the way everything has to be made. And John told me this is the most well executed of his designs that's ever been made. And that's a big deal because he does a lot of designs all over the automotive world.
Well, that's a great compliment.
Absolutely.
We worked really hard on it, and we're real proud of it. So.
And there's a big commitment. I mean, I would say there's obviously a monetary commitment, but just the time and the effort that goes into this and figuring out to make everything work.
Right.
It's a lot, and it's an amazing car. So Rey, where can people find more information on the 858 CSL? Where can they go and find that information?
Well, at Reyn Speed Shop on Insta.
On Instagram?
It'll be there on Instagram. We're gonna start posting like build pictures and things over time, shots, so people can see what we did in a lot of aspects.
With the processes and everything.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the car is also gonna be at SEMA Show.
Right.
We're going to have it there, and it's going to have a crazy suspension from Moton on it. It's going to be in the Moton booth, and there'll be more from the car from a lot. They're going to do a lot of other videos because this is an amazing car that just won every award here at Legends of the Autobahn in Pebble Beach, right?
Right, yeah.
Best of show, People's Choice.
Best mark.
Best tuner.
Best tuner.
So,
yeah.
Congrats, Rey. Thanks for taking the time, just walking us through. Just an amazing car. There's not many Restomods in the world that are like this, that are true to BMW, that have everything OEM. It's just an amazing job. So amazing car, Rey.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.